Three major credit bureaus are tracking everything and pretty much every place you've ever given your personal information, like store rewards, bank accounts, social media, even your old jobs. They're all another possible leak. And it doesn't take much. Thieves don't need your entire file from one hack. They just kind of piece it all together from all the random places that your data is floating around. Every new data breach headline is basically just adding fuel to the fire. So what are we supposed to do about this? Well, the perfect solution would be to personally monitor every single corner of the internet where your data might possibly exist. Every website, every database, every shady forum. And you'd have to do that pretty much around the clock, catching everything 100% of the time. Sound realistic? Yeah, right. It's not. It really bothers me that we live in this world where identity theft protection has become as essential as it is. We shouldn't have to be constantly protecting ourselves from identity thieves. And more free services really should be available to help if things go wrong. The problem is, we've seen this idea before. Freeze your credit, monitor your transactions, make sure your bank will protect you in an emergency, and even still, when something goes wrong and it's often not even your fault, you're the one that's left dealing with the mess if you're not protected. So maybe you're in the same spot I was in a few months ago, reluctantly realizing that you probably do need to start using one of these monitoring services. Here's what I learned. There's some good news and there's some not so good news. Here's where a lot of people get tripped up. These companies love to make it feel like you're fully protected the second you sign up. But when you actually dig into what you're paying for, you realize that a lot of the cheaper plans are basically security theater. The truth is, monitoring your identity isn't that complicated or expensive for them. What they've figured out is how to slice it up into different levels, so the entry-level plan sounds good on paper, but it leaves wide open gaps unless you pay for the more expensive tiers. A good example is LifeLock. Their basic plans only monitor one of the three credit bureaus. So if somebody opens up a new credit card or takes out a loan that shows up on one of the other two credit bureaus, you may never even know that it happened. That's not some tiny little loophole. That is like completely missing 2/3 of the picture. And when I tested it, the very first thing that their customer support rep did was try to upsell me to a higher plan. And honestly, fair enough, they kind of had to, because the lower plans just aren't giving you the full protection. So if you're paying for peace of mind, you kind of want the part where your mind can actually be at peace, which is exactly why I ended up landing on Aura. So now let me tell you about Aura. After testing a bunch of these services, this is the one that actually felt like it was built for real people. You're not juggling 5 different subscriptions just to feel moderately safe online. It's credit monitoring, dark web scanning, data broker removal, and identity theft insurance, all baked into one plan, one app, and one dashboard. It's honestly just less exhausting. They also cover a lot of the bases that most people don't want to think about. The VPN's built in, antivirus, done. Password manager, email masking, spam call blocker, secure document storage, it's all right there. And these aren't meant to be your go-to specialized tools if you're obsessing over every single privacy feature on the internet. But for most people who just want solid coverage without 15 separate apps, it totally works. The parental controls are pretty robust too, blocking sketchy content. They manage screen time, even flagging cyberbullying and gaming chats. And yes, it'll even notify you if a sex offender moves into your neighborhood, which is horrifying that we even need, but here we are. What really convinced me, though, to stick with the service was the credit monitoring. Aura monitors all 3 credit bureaus, Equifax, TransUnion, and Experian, on every single plan, no exceptions, no upgrade to unlock basic protection. If someone tries to mess with your credit, you get notified really quickly. I work with a team that tests these services, and we have consistently seen these alerts come through like super fast. Not that anyone's actually trying to steal our identities, but even when we run legitimate credit checks for testing, we immediately get phone notifications. I'm not going to just read off all the features from the website, so here are 4 things that I genuinely appreciate about Aura. First, the comprehensive monitoring that they offer. When you first log in, there's a feature called a vault where you can add all the personal information that you want Aura to track. From a privacy standpoint, I like that most of this is optional. You're not required to hand over every detail of your life. But if you want thorough coverage, they've created space for almost everything. They'll even track your gaming username, which I know sounds silly at first until you realize how many accounts and purchases are connected to that. It's especially useful if you have multiple email addresses or a long history of old addresses that you might have forgotten about. Second, I actually had a really good experience with their customer service. The person I talked to was really helpful, didn't try to sell me anything that I didn't need, and this was at midnight on a Friday. I was mostly just testing to see if somebody decent would even pick up that late, and I have no life. But with some of the other services, the first thing that they do is try to upsell you the second that you call. This actually felt like I was talking to a real person who just wanted to help, which honestly, that doesn't happen very often anymore. Third, how they handle identity theft insurance. This was personally the most important part for me when I signed up. Like I mentioned earlier, I didn't ultimately lose money during my identity theft situations, but they were still incredibly stressful and time-consuming to resolve. Aura is the only service that I found that doesn't nickel and dime you on insurance coverage. The $1 million policy that comes standard with every plan is intentionally comprehensive. It covers stolen funds and it compensates you for the time that you spend cleaning up the mess, which, let's be honest, it can be a long time. Because even if you don't have significant assets, if someone hijacks your identity, you might need to take time off work or spend days, for sure hours, on the phone just to resolve everything. That time has real value, and Aura is the only service that I've seen that genuinely recognizes that in their policy. Finally, the pricing is reasonable. It's not the cheapest option up front, but you'll get all the features from day one. No bait and switch tactics. I'll put the prices on the screen as of the time of this recording, and you can try it for free for 14 days, which is awesome. Really cool. So if you've made it this far, I will include a link with the discount code that takes a nice chunk off their annual plan. But the bottom line here, Aura is the service that I trust. I use it, my family uses it, and unlike most other options in this space, it doesn't feel like you're being taken advantage of.